Number one is the question of security. Now, we saw the address by Mr. Museveni last week, and as far as we are concerned, a lot was left to be desired. There's many things that just did not add up. And here's why. Mr. Museveni in his address insinuated that the ongoing bombings could be tethered to sectarianism, certain ideologies, political ideologies, and even insinuated could be tethered to certain religious affiliations. That was a very worrying insinuation, because what that means is that they are going to go after the wrong people. That they will probably begin going after politicians, that they will begin going after certain religious affiliations, as has happened in the past. Because you remember, when Abilika was killed, Kawesi and several others, they went to mosques and they raided people and arrested them, tortured them. Eventually, these people turned out to be innocent and they were let off the hook by court. So when we had these insinuations by him, we got concerned, because it means that he and his people are now going to go after the wrong people, shooting offside. They'll go after politicians, like I've said, certain religions, etc., etc. Meanwhile, the real criminals, the real perpetrators, will not be gotten, and they just might continue to do what they are doing, which is very worrying. And so our appeal is that let's get serious as far as security is concerned. We should not in any way politicize security. We should not try to make it a religious issue, because then we miss the mark. Then we shoot offside. And the real culprits will keep doing what they're doing because we are not going after them. So as NUP, we would like to appeal that sobriety prevails, that we use sober heads, and that's how we shall be able to deal with the ongoing insecurity challenges. Our other appeal as the NUP is one of the challenges in as far as investigations are concerned is because there's limited funding that goes especially to the element of investigations. When you look at the security budget, it is huge, but it goes to many other things. When you look at classified, it is in trillions of shillings, 3.8 trillion classified. But what is it doing if it cannot be used to make sure investigations are carried out? So that is still lacking. And we are saying, if we are serious about keeping Ugandans safe, let's strengthen the arm of investigations. That's very important. You remember recently in Masaka, as the killings were ongoing there, one of the OC, an OC from Bukoma Nsimbi, called Maurice Abongo, was speaking to members of parliament on the Defense and Internal Affairs Committee, explaining to them their challenges. And the man said, we only have one police truck for this entire sub-region. Many times it does not even have fuel. And he said, people call us to come and rescue them, but we cannot go. If the truck doesn't have fuel, I earn a small salary as a police officer, I can't fuel it myself. And so they are handicapped. And when he said these things, you remember he was arrested on the orders of Security Minister Jim Muhwezi Katugugu. So Muhwezi, instead of dealing with the issues that were being raised by the police officer Bongo, he decided to instead arrest him, which is extremely unfortunate. But that shows you the challenges there are. That shows you why we are where we are today. We are failing to address many issues. We are failing to investigate. We are failing to dig up information, gather information, because those particular elements, those particular arms of security, if you like, are not facilitated properly. So the huge budget goes to do many other things, and not this, which is very critical. So perhaps if we are strengthening this very area, chances are high would not be where we are today. The UK warned us about bombings, but we didn't take it serious. We did not do our research as should have been. So as NUP, we feel this area needs to be strengthened. The other area that we think is important to strengthen is training of our officers. It's very possible they do not have adequate training. Some time back, certain media houses did an interview with former Deputy IGP, Julius Odwe. And one of his concerns was that the current crop of police operatives are not as properly trained as those of back in the day. That's a former IGP. Speaking based on, the former Deputy IGP, speaking based on what he was superintending over and what the situation is currently. So it's very possible majority of these operatives are not adequately trained. Majority of our officers who are meant to go out there, gather information, do investigations are not adequately trained. So this is important too. Some Museveni many times will focus on SFC, take them for trainings across the world and so on. But this is important too for the entire country. So we think that adequate attention needs to be paid on this matter. On the question of vaccination, it's important that as many Ugandans as can get vaccinated. We have previously used examples of other countries where people opened up a long time ago. You go to football matches and you find droves and droves of people attending. Why? Because they did what they were supposed to do. They made sure a large chunk of their population gets vaccinated. And it's what we have been calling for here. Money was appropriated and we have been saying, where is the accountability for this money that was allocated to make sure we get to have vaccines? Now, something we are beginning to see is a push by certain entities to lock out people, either from services or whatever the case might be, if they are not vaccinated. We have seen some RDCs excitedly say that, for me, in my entire district, if you're not vaccinated, you don't come to our offices to access services. I'm seeing Parliament trying to jump onto that bandwagon too, saying nobody, including the general public, whatever the case might be, even when you have issues that you think Parliament should address, as is always the case, don't come if you're not vaccinated. The presumption is there is enough vaccines for everybody to get vaccinated. We don't believe that Ugandans don't want to get vaccinated. Matter of fact, many Ugandans want to get vaccinated so that they get back to work. Of course, vaccinated with the right medicines, because there was a concern sometimes, people being injected with water. But we believe in science. But the challenge there has been is that less than 3 million people have so far been vaccinated. Now, the reason we only have about 3 million people vaccinated is not because the rest of the 40+ million Ugandans don't want to get vaccinated. No, it's because the vaccines are not available. That's a fact. People go to these vaccination centers, they wait for the entire day, and in the evening they're told it has run out. We shall let you know when next we shall have another batch. And so they go back home. So people want to get vaccinated. Can you avail the vaccines? Before you think of locking them out of certain offices, before you think of locking them out of certain services, because soon they might even say you cannot access government hospitals if you don't have a vaccination card. But where are the vaccines for Ugandans to get vaccinated? I had Mr. Museveni say that by December, we shall have 21 million vaccines in the country, and that by December, over 12 million Ugandans will have been vaccinated. I thought it was a joke, because where is the plan to make sure of that? You see, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will lead you there. So when you set a target, show the path going to that target. So we'd like to see from Mr. Museveni and his team, where is the plan to show that by December we shall have 21 million vaccines and that over 12 million Ugandans will have been vaccinated? Where is that plan? Show us to see that we are getting by this date so many vaccines as donations. We are getting by this date so many vaccines that we are procuring, buying, and so on. We'd like to see that plan. It's non-existent. That's why he doesn't talk about it. He will only excitedly talk about 21 million vaccines by December, 12 million people vaccinated, and so on. But there's no clear plan. And that's our problem. So as leaders, we must take these matters seriously. You don't just make projections without a clear plan to that. And then in the meantime, you're saying, we are going to lock out people from certain services because they're not vaccinated. First, provide the vaccines. Make sure they are available. Before you think that people don't want to get vaccinated. Ugandans want to get vaccinated because they want the economy to open up. They want to get back to school. Yeah, people. They want to get back to businesses and so on and so forth. People want to get back to work. There are certain professionals that have never worked since the first lockdown in 2020. And they say, we want to get back to work. Where are the vaccines? So we think that the excitement from some government officials needs to calm down. First, play your part. Ugandans are willing and ready to get vaccinated, but please avail the vaccines. Otherwise, then, you know, do you want them to manufacture vaccines in their homes and inject themselves with that? What do you want people to do? You know, and again, the challenge with that is the laissez-faire attitude of government and its officials. People like to operate in a sloppy manner, in a lackluster manner. That they don't attach seriousness to certain things. Look, for example, at the recent saga at the airport. The government decides to take over and say, we are taking over to make sure everybody that's coming in gets to be tested. And then you're making people wait for 10 hours. They will not want to come back to our country. They will not. Why? Because if they can go elsewhere and things are a lot smoother, why should they come back here? So that shows you the sloppiness of government. Can we get serious for the betterment of our country? You know, sometimes I hear government officials who will say that some of us who are opposed to it, and I've heard them accuse even you in the media, that you speak ill of your country, that you write stories that are not good about your country, and so on and so forth. But truth be told, many times actually government fails itself. Many times you don't need to write a story or tell it on TV or radio. We don't even need to talk about these things. They're evident for people to see. So can we get serious? Can we stop playing around with things that are serious? One of our recommendations, for example, as far as the airport situation is concerned, bring in other players. Because previously there has been one player who monopolized the entire process. And that's a problem because they will determine whatever price they want because you don't have an alternative. But once there's several other players, it does two critical things. Speed. Because there's many people to go to. So if a line to this particular testing, private facility is long, I'll go to another, and another, and another. So that means there's efficaciousness. But two, the prices will come down because now there's competition. So if the other one is high, somebody will go where it is low. So then the other one also will know, since there's competition, I need to lower mine. So that's why it's important to bring other people on board. It is proven, it is tested that government is lousy at doing business. So let's try and make things work the right way. The other issue that is of concern to us as the National Unity Platform is the continued insistence by Mr. Museveni and his people to strike bail. I'm glad that Ugandans are rejecting this criminal scheme because that's what it is. The Constitution is very clear as far as this is concerned. See how, for example, our colleagues, the Honorable Sewanyana Alan and the Honorable Segirinya Mohammed, are being treated. Because that's the target of Mr. Museveni. Those who are opposed to him, let's go after them. Arrest you, keep you there, no bail. They're in very bad shape. Extremely bad shape, very worrying. And the latest we hear about the Honorable Segirinya is it's not even clear which hospital he's being taken to because they first put him at Machombe. Then eventually we learned that he was taken to Mulago, Ward 6, thereabout. And some of the information we get is that sometimes he converses. Nobody is allowed to access him. Not his family, not his lawyers, nobody is allowed to access him, establish what situation he's in. We have been making the clarion call to say, look, these Fosatas are leaders. They're not going to run away or that kind of thing. please release them so that they can access better healthcare. What will Mr. Museveni and these people tell Ugandans if Segirinya dies, for example, in this drama? Because it is drama, really. People's lives are at stake. You have seen the man show his wounds and so on. And now here he's in, they keep oscillating in between Action Bay and Mulago, and some of the information we're getting from some sources that are able to access, medics and so on, is that the man sometimes converses. So why doesn't government want to let him go and access better healthcare? Are they waiting for him to die and then they say, okay, now he's an MP, we are going to give him a state funeral? Is that what makes sense? So this really is a warning to government that the lives of these our colleagues and several others, if anything happens to them, their blood is on your hands. So, as far as bail is concerned, our call is that Ugandans continue to reject this diabolical scheme, this evil scheme. Please reach out to your members of parliament, wherever they are, and push and insist that this does not pass. The plan to remove bail, because ultimately everybody will be a victim. Everybody will be a victim, because all of us are potential for arrest and bail, for that matter. And that's something that needs to sink into the minds of even our colleagues in the NRM. None of them is above the law. In fact, our colleagues in the NRM need to wake up to the reality that the person pushing for the scrapping of bail, Mr. Museveni, has got immunity under the Constitution. The rest of them don't have that immunity. And any of them can be arrested today and they will require bail. So that is something that needs to sink into the minds of our colleagues in the NRM, in Parliament and elsewhere. Mr. Museveni, who is trying to set up this trap for you to fall into, has got immunity. At least for now. Although he also needs to know that a time will come when he could be a candidate for bail. So we need to proceed with caution. As NUP, we have said severally, there's remedies around this situation. Make investigations quick and swift. Because why should investigations take years, for heaven's sake? Well, what are you trying to dig up that you have not found? If you're competent enough, you should have found it. So let's make investigations quick and swift so that criminals, don't get to be out there in the public, perhaps causing more harm. But how do you make sure of that? By carrying out swift and quick investigation. All right, I'll just quickly translate this into Luganda and